Have you been experiencing internal financial struggles triggered by economic concerns? Are you feeling capped at your current income level and can't seem to realize your financial potential? Energy healer Jean Border has created an emotional freedom technique, or EFT, tapping protocol to help calm the inner voice that keeps you stressed. Claim your free copy at jeanborder.com/vow and say goodbye to those financial blockages. Welcome to another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast, Energy Work to Better Your Business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. It's not just about dreaming, it's about making those dreams a practical reality. Subscribe to us via your favorite network by visiting our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. Now, get ready. Your journey to success starts here.
Hello, everyone. This is Jean Border, your host with the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast, where we talk everything business with a little bit of slant on energy and how energy and mindset work can actually better your business. I have a special guest with me here today, but before I start speaking with Eva Vennari, I would like to remind you that there is a free resource down below. Click on the link if you're interested. It's just an EFT tapping protocol for those of you who are feeling a little bit stressed about your money situation or the economic situation in general with regards to money. It's just a few rounds of tapping. Try it out. If you've never done it before, see how it calms down your nervous system, puts you in a good place to be able to make sound money decisions as opposed to react with fear when you have to make a money decision. Just right down below, jeanborder.com/vow, VOW. And now, on to my special guest. This is Eva Vennari, and I want to give her a chance to introduce herself to you. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hi, Jean. I'm good. I'm really good.
Cool.
Excited to be here. Yeah. Ready to share some stories and ideas and things that hopefully will improve some prospects for business. Yeah, love it.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself. In particular, I'm interested in how you got from where you started to where you are now in your business.
Yeah. Well, I'm the founder of the Elevate Institute, and I have years, almost 2 decades of experience in healing, but it's a wonky, it's not a straight line. It's never a straight line to success. Are you kidding? Like the end. Yeah, no, I'm considering
that would be so nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. It'd be nice if we all knew our purpose when we were born and we just had this light up of where should I put my feet next? It's kind of like playing that video game where you have it tells you where to put your feet for the dancing, right? Yeah, we don't always get that, but that so would be nice. Yeah, it's been a long journey of healing my own chronic illness, and I spent 25 years in corporate trying to fit myself into that environment and realized it wasn't for me. But what valuable skill sets that I learned and picked up there, and decided to take and cherry pick from that experience and use that to build my own business, which is called the Elevate Institute. And I help entrepreneurs and coaches get past what they're blocking, what is blocking them to their greatest success. And that could be from chronic fatigue all the way to some sort of spiritual entity attachment. So I get to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? We kind of have similar paths in that most of my career was business as well, right? And I think it's funny. Both times I walked away from my 6-figure career was to take care of my family members. First time my mom got really sick, and my employer had an option to accommodate me, and they chose not to, so I walked away.
Oh,
yeah. It was eye-opening to me. It was a shock. I was not expecting the lack of loyalty, honestly. But that's something you learn in business, right? Especially when you're in leadership positions, there's always somebody else that they can shove into your place and pay less money and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lesson learned. And then again, when I had to take care of I had to support my elderly father. So from there into the healing world. It's totally different, but you use skill sets that you learn in all of that journey in the business world. You learn so much that you can bring into the healing world.
Yeah. Well, and I have one of this amazing skill set that a lot of healers don't have, which is the tech side. I'm a tech intuitive, and I spent the first 10 years of my career in the information technology industry. So I know computers, I know systems, I know how to build them, hardware, software, I can program them, I can make computers tweet and talk to each other. It's a gift that makes it so easy. Oh, I want to change my homepage, or I want to update this, or I want just done. And that's a curse and a blessing both, because I understand those systems. But it's one of those things that not all, especially entrepreneurs, they don't have it. They struggle with the tech. And so I'm very blessed, and sometimes I take it for granted. But I love having that information and that skill set to bring with me.
And I'll tell you, I'm not one of those people that loves that stuff. As soon as you learn how to do something, they change the technology. And it's like, why did I waste all that time learning that for something that's obsolete now, right? Luckily, I'm in a mastermind with a guy who loves that stuff.
The body heals, and then how the spirit heals. And so how these systems all integrate, work together and play. I took my cues from information technology, from that whole industry. It's because we are the God, if you will. We're the creator of the systems that are now our computers and our tech and everything else that we plug into on a daily basis. Why wouldn't they reflect us?
I've never heard anybody say that before.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I am working with a person on their physical body, and I'll relate to two different things. One is usually a car. A lot of people understand their car. They understand maintenance on our car. They go, oh yeah, I know I need to take it in. I know I need to put gas in the tank. I know I need to, get it washed every once in a while. Like, we don't understand showers, but but we don't all understand and relate to, like, the following concept. When we have a problem with a thyroid or another gland that's running slow, we think automatically, oh, we're supposed to take a bioidentical hormone. Well, isn't that just like getting into a car that's out of gas? And instead of putting gasoline in the gas tank, we get behind it and push it from destination to destination. And so, yeah. And as soon as I say that, people are like, well, what's the workaround to that? Well, what's the equivalent of gas in a gas tank? It's minerals and food and fuel for the body. So I'd love to use metaphors and relate and go back and forth. And cars and computers, really great systems to do that with. And people get computers more than they think they do, but definitely cars. Anyways, I love to have fun with those metaphors.
Okay, and I'm going to take it a step farther just because this is one of my pet peeves. But that's like taking medications without knowing what's going on, to take care of the symptom, to push you along so you can still kind of function a little bit, but not figure out what the heck is wrong with you and fix that.
Well, okay, let's make a metaphor up for that. We've got a tow truck. We just take in our car and put it on the tow truck and use the tow truck to take us from destination to destination.
I love that. I love that. And that's what it is. Not even looking at what the heck needs to change to allow your body to heal itself like it was created to do, right?
Yeah, well, it's perfectly designed. There's such a beauty in the design of the human body and how it is built in. We think it's broken for some reason. We think that there's this, let's just call it what it is. It's an arrogance that we have a consciousness that says we know what's wrong with it. We've got the symptom. And so therefore we're supposed to hunt down the symptom and kill it. Just smash it with a pain medication or with a bioidentical hormone or with surgery and remove the body part. And I go, whoa. The body's trying to tell you something. And this is the biggest clue. And I wish I had known this years ago, is listen to those clues. Yeah, get yourself to the point of comfort. Maybe take a pain medication so that you can, calm down your system and pay attention to really what's going on. But give your body what it needs so that it can heal itself, as opposed to, shoving it into a corner like a child that maybe is acting up and you put a dunce cap on it. I don't know who does that anymore, but that's the same thing when we shut up the symptoms. And so that's my focus, is like, let's look at what's underneath, what's allowing for the symptom. And I call those compensation codes. There it can be a symptom. It could be something the doctor is diagnosing you with. It could be anything, that you put a label to it. But anything that's a symptom is usually not the problem. And that's where my forte comes in. That's where all my gifts kind of allow me to help somebody move past a stuck point.
So several times you've mentioned the word minerals.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Well, aren't we made of stardust? So we evolved of the earth. If we go back in time to all of the origin stories, we were basically, God was kicking up dust on the other side of the Jordan to make a human body. Let's just go with that one. And so we're of the earth. Whatever story you want to give to it, we evolved from it. And so we are meant to be made up of the things around us. And that includes minerals and food from our soil that gets passed to our foods from the ground when we grow them. And then we're supposed to eat those foods because we can't eat dirt. Unfortunately, it ruins our teeth. So we have to eat the food that is provided by the earth, and that could be plant or animal. And those minerals have been depleted over time. But that is ultimately, remember we were mentioning the beautiful design of the human body, that DNA has, let's call that DNA a recipe. So we all have these recipes for all the body parts, and all the DNA says, here's the instruction set. This is what I need, right? And just like when we're creating our favorite recipe from grandma, we don't have such and such item. This is no longer available. Let's substitute it. So the body's so smart. It goes, well, I don't have the minerals that I need from our food. That's a whole nother conversation about the chemical revolution and pesticides, and the list goes on, but we no longer have the nutrient density in our foods the way that we used to. So we cannot just eat our way to health anymore. It's no longer a question of if we have to supplement. It's with what, how much, and what kind. And so once you know what that is, you can give your body those things, and it can build a preferred recipe. The body says, I know what I'm supposed to be made up of. I want these minerals. We give it those minerals, build out that recipe, and now you're made to the ideal, the instruction set that we're supposed to be full of. So yeah, minerals are the key to giving the body a way to fortify itself so that you don't collect toxic metals, so that you can correct nutrient imbalances that cause hormonal problems, so that you can improve your immune system and fight off infection. So you can basically stop running around and doing all those flushes and cleanses. This isn't the automatic way to health. And it's the best kept secret.
As you're talking, I'm thinking back a couple of years ago during that shutdown time. For whatever reason, a lot of my clients were in Canada. And for some reason, I don't, it's not what part of my protocol to find out what they're deficient in, but in a session, if it comes up, I mention it, right? And cobalt comes up so often because the soil is depleted, right? There is no source for it. And so I guess, I don't know why, but my Canadian clients, it showed up a lot as cobalt deficient. I'm like,
well, and so here's something about deficiencies when they don't show up in the bloodstream. And so a lot of people think that doing mineral balancing work is about showing the deficiencies. So if it doesn't show up in your blood work, because we all test our blood, we go to the doctor, get the blood tested, it means that the body is either one, without it, doesn't have it in our environment, but more than likely it's being stored as a toxin. Because here's the thing, just like it's lovely, the universal laws, law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. So just like the relationships of our lives, we want to have people in them that support us, that complement us, that give us support. We have our cheerleaders, and we have, our leaders and our coaches and our mentors, and then we have those that we're mentoring, right? So you have these same relationships inside the body. So cobalt has a relationship with other minerals, and if those minerals are missing in your diet, cobalt takes its ball and goes home, and it stores itself in your heart, your kidney, your liver, and that's what causes inflammation. Ta-da!
Oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just thought I'm like, it has something about that geography. It's like the farther north my clients were, the more often I found cobalt deficiency. I'm like,
Yeah.
never even heard of cobalt deficiency until I had Canadian clients, It's like,
yeah, and it's definitely, there are different minerals that are associated with different soil geographic locations. And that's one of the reasons why it's like, I used to sell water filters. This is one of my first gigs out of high school. I'm like, I'll do my own business. I'll sell water filters. And I learned that not only do we have to get a filter or we are one, like help your body out, filter the water first, but also rotate your water, because the water source geographically has different sets of minerals in it, just the same way as different areas geographically where you grow food. Is you ever had, there's so many different types of honeys based on what plants are growing around the honey, or I should say around the bees, right? The honey will taste different. So it's no different for our foods, no different for our water, no different. Yeah. So it completely makes sense that people in certain geographic areas will have similar deficiencies. Let's call it that, imbalances. Yeah.
Imbalances. Yeah. And I totally get that about the water. There was a bit back, I'm going to say 2 decades ago, Fiji water was the new thing. And I didn't like it. I just, it tasted minerally, I'm going to say, it just had that taste, and I didn't like it at all. So.
Yeah, it's different in the different, and plus you have the juxtaposition to your mineral content. So your taste buds will pick up different contents of the water and react to it differently based on your mineral makeup, and that includes your metabolism. So I've discovered that the slower a person's metabolism is, the more sensitive it is to taking something. Let's say, for example, you have a chemical sensitivity to perfume or cologne, and you can sit into a waiting room next to other people who are okay with the gentleman's cologne. He just walked in and you can smell it. And for you personally, your body might be so low on your metabolism that you go, ooh, that's too strong, and it becomes an odor and you have to leave. Where other people are like, ooh, that smells good. So how you perceive flavor, scent, so even sight, all of that is related to your metabolism, which is governed by your minerals. So
that's interesting. Yeah. I just knew that certain ones I like, certain ones taste salty to me, certain ones taste like dirt. Fiji water tasted like dirt, I'm sorry. I know some people loved it. Everybody loved it, but the only way I could stomach it, that sounds bad. The only way I could drink it was to put lemon in it, and to sort of mask the taste and change the chemical makeup of it.
Yeah, a lot of people like flavor. And even if you're, I recommend drinking water over any other beverage. I love my coffee, and every once in a while I like some whiskey, but I don't make, that my day intake of, of liquid. But you get bored of having just water, just plain water. So it's nice to add a little fruit infusion or something that gives it some.
I like limes over lemon. That sounds weird. No, people don't, but I like lime over lemon.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Most restaurants, though, they expect you to ask for lemon, so I do what's expected, but I prefer lime. Not that anybody cares, but there you go.
I discovered that if they have a full bar, they have limes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about how balancing the body can help focus and productivity.
Yeah, just think about where your energy goes. If you are focused on or distracted by a body that is in pain, whether that's joints, you woke up one day and you got sleep wrong. That happens. We sleep wrong sometimes. Or we ate something yesterday that's carrying with us today, and we've got to, if your body's not functioning properly, it's going to distract you. So that's one. The other is your energy overall. If you have less energy going to your ability to cognize, to think, to connect with others, and to connect with your mission, then you have less. And that means less work is getting done, less productivity. I remember a time myself, I had 30 different diagnosable symptoms that the doctors all said to me. And I had 10 different doctors. I fired one after another for, it's been a while. I got frustrated with them, but they said, we don't know what's wrong with you. We think it's all in your head. And I remember getting to the point after searching for 16 years, I noticed I was not only less productive, but I could not work. And I asked to be laid off. And then things continued to get worse because rest was not enough. And I remember laying on the couch or being on the couch late at night, and my 2 daughters that are now adults, but they wanted to be tucked into bed. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't get off the couch. I'm too exhausted. And to that point where you can't tuck your children into bed and give them a good night story, anything, the energy that you need in order to run your business needs to be present and with you, and you need to be able to focus. And that, I think, we could roll into what feels like a left field conversation about the overdiagnosis of ADHD. I don't think that as many people have it as what is reported, because if we had the energy from being minerally fortified in our body, I think that we could pay attention better. Yeah.
And I think labels are so easy to get now.
Yeah.
Well, they do this, this, and this. Oh, well, it must be XYZ. No, that's an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
You're not letting them run. You're not letting them play. You're expecting them to sit perfectly still. That's not what they were created to do.
Yeah.
That's what your lifestyle wants them to do. That's not how they were created to be and to function and to grow.
Yeah.
So you label them and you give them a pill, which does not fix them.
No, in fact, I have found them more minerally fortified. To go back to minerals again. I'm a broken record. Minerals fix everything. So if you do like me, I'm also on the spectrum. I have I'm on the autism spectrum moderately. I'm like squarely in the middle when I test. Every time I test, and they're like, yeah, you're definitely on the spectrum. I also have dyslexia in all ways that are possible, severely dyslexic. So I've had learning disabilities. I know what it means to not get something after the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th until the 20th time. And then I go, oh, got it. You can force something to be heard, or you can learn what your gifts are. And part of being on the spectrum is so a neurotypical person has, let's say, 100% of energy available to them for everything, right? Neurodiverse, 70%. So we're already at a 30% deficiency in our energy. And if you deplete that, either one of them, you're going to get to burnout. So a lot of people who are neurodiverse and don't know it, they try to fit themselves into society's norms and find themselves at it's a great deal of effort. And so they burn out very quickly. And I find that minerally balancing a person gets them the energy, at least to the level where they, their instruction set, their recipe allows them to be, but also they can tune into their superpower, whatever that is, that makes them even more productive than a neurotypical person. And so you have some really great ways to overcome, but we have to know how to do that. And one of them is to tune into, what does my body need? Get it to heal, and then work with it and find out what your superpowers are and tune into that. So I like to play in that world because it's a lot of fun. And I think that for especially healers who work in the metaphysical world, or even if you just want to work on manifesting, we need to have that energy in order to bring in our work. And minerals allow for that.
And I'm going to go back to something you just said, because this seems to come out in every interview that I do. In my world, the very first step to creating any kind of a change in your life is becoming aware that something needs to change, and then getting focused on how you want that change to play out in your life. And then figuring out what actions need to happen to get you there. Right? It's that easy. You become aware, you focus on what you want, and you take steps. Even if it's just a little step here and a little step there, you keep moving that direction, eventually you're going to get there, or at least you'll be much closer than you are today.
Yes. Yeah. Stay on it. Stay on the path. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is important.
I just went blank. It doesn't happen very often. Okay, so here's another topic for you.
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about a little bit before, because I use it a lot in my business with my clients, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm guessing you do too. And that's intuition.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that so you remember the TVs that you had to turn the dial and go between, and then you had the rabbit ears that you had to
Yeah. Have somebody stand there and put your arm out. That's it. That's it.
Well, I was the kid that was closest to the TV, my mistake. And my dad was like, Eva, change the channel and then make it clear. So here's the thing. I equate intuition to having the rabbit ears perfectly on for the channel. So if you can get that energy messaging clear, whether it's any of the clairs, so clairaudience, clairsent, whatever your clair gift is that you are now
comfortable with. How's that?
Comfortable with, that you develop the most because it's something you were born with. Like most people have the claircognizance, that knowing, the clair. It's just, I know, I knew that was going to happen, right? You hear that a lot. For me, I was clairvoyant, didn't know it. I thought everybody had a great imagination.
Yes,
apparently not.
None. Like, oh my.
Some people have none. Some people have no ability to visualize. My sister is one of those people. My first degree was in interior design, which helps greatly for a space. You can see something in your mind's eye and go, oh, that's going to look fabulous. She was like, no, I can't see it. That's 90% of the population. So clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentient, and then you've got I forget the other two names, but you can smell, and then also you can the ability to touch and feel. So I have all of them. And taste. So I've got all of them. They're all turned on. They're all well adjusted. But most people have an ability for one, or at one main one, and then a backup one. And so your guidance and your intuition, you can gear yourself to receive messages through that. But you have to be a clear channel first. And again, broken record, your minerals, they get you to that place of static free. It's the rabbit ears is the minerals. Okay. So this is my technical affiliation here. So
technical terms all the time.
Technical terms. So if you're full of toxic metals, heavy metals, if you're full of nutrient imbalances, right? We don't have good friends in good places, right? Copper and zinc, if they don't play well together, we've got problems with infertility, and we have problem with ED, and we have problems with all kinds of things that can be in relationship to that, which are also distracting, keeping us from work. But all of those things that create a staticky environment, we want to get rid of that so that the intuition is more clearly received. And yeah, I can't hone this in enough. I can't pound it in enough. It's like what we feed our body, what we feed our mind, and what we watch, what we read, everything that we do throughout the day, every decision that we make for what we put into our mouth and who we are around and what we focus our time on. That's all in my world, it's a reflection of self-love, which is the essential ingredient to all of this is how we love ourselves. And being minerally balanced is just the hard knocks of that. It's getting your car maintenance, is taking it to get a car wash. It's making sure that you change your oil. It's making sure that you all of those things. It's a maintenance for the body. Yeah.
Since you mentioned food again, I'm just going to throw this out there. For the past year, maybe in this year, I'll say it that way, I've been exploring more the plant-based, more plant-based, not totally, but more plant-based. And part of that was paying attention to chemicals in labels. Now, I've always gone for things that only have this many ingredients versus this many ingredients, right?
Yeah.
But now because I've been, as soon as you start doing searches, your smartphone picks up on it. And that's what you start seeing on Facebook and all this stuff.
Yep.
And there's this guy and he's walking through the grocery store. You see this? And he's reading the chemicals and he's saying, okay, this one right here. And then he takes you to the hardware store and it's on the shelf as a poison. But it's in your food and the FDA allows it, but it's a poison, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's craziness. It's craziness. Anything with a number, anything that sounds like a chemical, you are making a choice, a conscious choice, whether you like it or not, to poison your body.
Yeah.
So there's an app that showed up again because one of those Facebook things, it's Big Brother's watching. But it's an app that you put in you put your phone over the barcode on the ingredient and it tells you if they approve of it or not. And some of the frozen vegetables that I was getting, it says not Bobby approved. I'm like, what? And you scroll down and it's got this and it's got this and it's got, I'm like, what? I thought it was just frozen vegetables, but no, they add things.
They do. They add things to our food in ways that don't make sense other than for shelf life and the convenience of shelf life is killing us. Yeah. We have sugar in more things than is actually required. And so they say, what was the shortcut is if you go grocery shopping, shop the exterior wall of the store, not the outside of the store, meaning the one that's closest to the outside. So
that's funny.
Exterior, just to make things all confusing. But yeah, that outer rung and not shop the interior aisles because those are the most processed. And I think if you can't grow your own vegetables and you can't, yield your own farm animals. I still eat meat. It's part of my mission to be here on the planet to eat meat. It's related to if I'm not here and I decide to move on to New Earth, then who's going to help people get over to the New Earth? So I'm here. It's my mission. And so I get to eat a fair grade, but I'm also eating foods that are highly sourced well. Let's put it that way. And the closer to how it was in nature, the better.
It's very interesting. Yeah. Sometimes it's also more expensive.
It used to be way more expensive. I became gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, soy-free. What else? Oh, I'm Italian and I had to go gluten-free. What? No more pasta, no more bread. And this is back in 30 years ago. And at the time you go to a restaurant and I say, oh, do you have any gluten-free bread? And they would bring me more of the same bread. Here you go. They didn't know. They were not trained. And even today, when you look at foods that are made for you, because at the time when I went gluten-free, I had to make my own gluten-free. There was no gluten-free at the stores. It was edible. Let's call it that. And as companies decided, well, we need to catch up with these people who are having issues with GMOs and sensitivities to gluten, you look at the ingredient list. It's mostly starch and sugar. And now you have people who think they're being healthy by going from a wheat diet, which essential wheat used to be very nutritious, to a gluten-free diet. And if you, like you said, you take all those chemicals, and it doesn't say sugar at the top, it'll say sugar in 12 different ways at the bottom that all add up to it's the main ingredient. Now you have people that were trying to be healthy but end up being diabetic. So it's worthwhile to read your ingredients for sure. And even if you've trusted the purchase in the past, read it again the next time you buy it. But
oh my gosh, do you know that now they're getting some of the canned goods is coming from places where they have to put on the label may contain lead.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. A can of corn may contain lead. And it's okay to eat, even though lead is going to make you go nutso, right? I'm a technical term again.
Lead and mercury and aluminum. So these are heavy. And I test these. These are things that I test for in a body when I see what's going on with a person. Here's the thing. If you are minerally fortified, your body will kick out and reject the toxins. It says, you know what? I'm full. I don't need you to be a replacement, because you know why the body absorbs toxic metals? It's because there's a missing nutrient. And so the toxin will be there as a substitute. It's kind of like, let's go back to the car analogy. You have a car, you pop a tire, you have a spare tire, the spare tire is made of lead. All right, let's put that spare tire on for a moment. We're supposed to only drive around on it until we get to the tire guy, right? But we don't. We're like, well, the car works.
I've seen people do that.
You know, we come to a stop and it shimmies. We can't make a U-turn without having to do a 20-point turn. Like there's things that stop our productivity, and toxic metals are one of them. But if we're full of the preferred minerals, then the body will automatically kick out and detox you. And you don't have to go through chelation therapy and flushes and cleanses and et cetera, et cetera. I feel like a broken record. It's all comes down to the minerals.
Well, you sound like a broken record to yourself, but I have never had a guest even say it once. So to my listeners, you're not a broken record. It's probably the first time they've heard anything like this.
For a lot of people, it's new, and it's very difficult to adopt because we're so used to what we've been told from a young age. You have a problem, you take it to the doctor draws your blood, sees what's in your blood, and tells you if it's all in your head or if, oh yeah, you've got a problem and here's some medication for it. And I'm here to tell you that is not the only way. And how do you distinguish the two? It's like, how do you stop wasting your time chasing after symptoms and doing things? Okay, go to the doctor when something's on fire, broken, severed, that. Trauma care. Trauma care is what doctors are for. When it comes to chronic illness, and I mean cholesterol, blood pressure, weight, hormone therapy, all of the pain, arthritis, these are chronic conditions. You have something going on that needs a healer, somebody like me.
Totally agree. Unfortunately, even though it is in our mind, at least it's in my mind, that doctors were created to help people heal. And so that's the attitude that I always had, but it never worked out for me.
Never worked out for me either. And most of the people who find their way to me, eventually they're like, but I tried everything. I looked under every rock. I've tried every solution that the doctor told me to. I've taken every medication, and they tell me this, but it never got me better 100%. It'll get me partway there. It'll like cover up or mask the symptom. But now, because I'm taking this A medication, I've got B, C, and D medications to cover up the symptoms that A medication gave me. It's a very common thing. And in fact, my ex-husband, we were divorced for 12 years, and 2 weeks before he passed away of a heart attack, he's on the phone. We're on the phone together. This was the reason why I started my business. We're on the phone together, and he's talking to me about all these chronic conditions. Oh, I've got hepatitis C, and I've got diabetes now. And he named up a couple of other things. And I go, wow, these sounds like chronic conditions. I had just become a mineral balancing person, certified in this work a week or so before that. And I says, why don't you send me a hair sample? Because that's what I use here. Send me a hair sample. We'll figure out what's wrong. We'll go from there. And he laughed at me. And he goes, no, my doctors have me. I'm on medication. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from the hospital. Someone was there and just says, yeah, he passed away. He had a massive heart attack and he couldn't be revived. 45 years old on 17 medications as a result of scenario A medication. Here's all of these other ones you need as well. So it was the spiritual tap on my shoulder that said, people need to know they have options. And I don't have the money for advertising the way that the pharmaceutical industry does. I'm not every other commercial on TV, but I can be here. I can get the message out on podcasts and talk to people and do my best to get the message out. It's the resistance that I receive in believing that it's a viable solution that is shocking to me. You have an option. You have options.
Okay, you want to know what's shocking to me? This is a new commercial. Well, there's two commercials that really frost me, but this one is a new one. And if I remember correctly, it's an add-on. If your antidepressant isn't totally fixing you, Now, this one has been shown to cause cancer, cause heart attacks, cause this, cause that. But it might, but it's a good add-on for your antidepressant that already doesn't work. So you're going to give this person cancer,
right,
along with a pill that's not going to cure them, in addition to another pill that didn't cure them. And this is allowed. This is legal. It used to be that pill pushers were illegal. Now it's the norm on every TV channel.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It used to be against the law to advertise pharmaceuticals.
It's so irresponsible. Yes, I
agree.
understand you have shareholders and you want to make money. But when you get on there and these people are so desperate for relief, they don't know where else to go. They say, oh, well, I'll risk not getting cancer to maybe get a little bit more relief for my depression. Well, maybe the depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in your body that happens because of foods that you're eating that are not really food at all, but chemicals.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was working with to hone that point. I was working with a psychologist who we decided we wanted to work with the seriously mental ill. And they'd come up with something in Finland called the open dialogue to help with people who'd gone through a schizophrenic break. And during this work of, I just hear a bunch of terms out there, but the idea is she had a large group of people who came to her for depression. And when I shared with her my work, and I said, look, copper toxicity, I mentioned copper earlier in relationship to ED and sexual dysfunction and infertility, those things also can contribute to depression. And she became so aware that in the release of the copper and making it more in a relationship that was healthy in the body, you could diminish or even completely get rid of the habit of depression. And I've seen it in myself. I've seen it in my clients. I've seen it in others who do this work. And she said to me something very interesting. She goes, then my next depression client that I get, I'm going to send them to you, have them do mineral work. And then after 6 months, then if they still have depression, I'll work with them.
Wow.
That's how significant, having your minerals, think about it. We understand intuitively that if something happens outside of us, a shock, and it creates this adrenaline rush, that's a chemical reaction. The chemical reaction is being governed by minerals. Well, why wouldn't it happen the opposite way? Why wouldn't minerals create an emotional response out of balance with each other?
Very interesting.
Yeah. And they do work that way. Think about the Mad Hatter. He worked with felt. Felt has mercury in it. He would absorb the mercury through the workings of his craft and lose his mental capacity at some point. So mercury is very dangerous. So we put that in our teeth, for heaven's sakes.
And we put it in vaccinations. Oh,
it's a carrier.
My gosh.
Yeah. So I tell people, because there was this big conversation, especially during COVID, do you recommend getting the vaccine? And I said, well, if you need to get it, get it. If you feel like you have to have it, have it. Then do something to get rid of the mercury and the other contents that are toxic to the body. The delivery of it will be as long as it's meant to, but we can get rid of the toxins and detox the body without doing chelation therapy, because chelation therapy is not healthy either. That's like running around. Let's go back to the car. Okay, the tire pops and that's your toxic metal doesn't get put back in place. Instead, it gets pulled off. Now you're running around town on your rims, which is not good either. So there's all of the strategy and that puts into place, but it really comes back to the perfect design of the body. We have this beautiful body that has been designed. We don't have to be in control of its inner workings. We just have to be aware of what we're doing to it.
And that comes back to awareness. Pay attention, right?
Yeah.
And so many of us are just on autopilot. Whatever did it yesterday is what I'll do today. Not understanding or not paying attention to the fact that, yes, but today you woke up sluggish. So what do you think contributed to that? That's an effect of something. What might the cause be?
Yeah. Well, and that's really good. So when it comes to expectations of the body, we don't bounce back unless we've done something to help it bounce back. And oh my gosh, I think at the beginning I was so depleted minerally in my 20s. I was not a partier, I never have been, but I remember going out with friends and having one glass of wine, taking 4 days to recover from that glass of wine in my 20s. That's how depleted my body was. Now I can have, wine and I'm fine within 30 minutes, and that's normal. Or I should say that's the ideal situation your body should be under. But yeah, as far as recovery, one, and what we expect as far as energy flow over body, two, we have to be realistic. Even in mineral balancing work, you have an ebb and flow to the height and accessibility to your energy throughout the day. Just like we have the sleeping, what's that called when you have the rhythms?
Circadian rhythm.
I can't remember the name. Yeah, circadian rhythm. Well, did you know that continues in the daytime too? Yeah, and so every 90 minutes or so, some people need 45 minutes, but every 90 minutes is really good to gauge and decide, oh, I need to give my mind and body a break and go and take a walk or, whatever. But you break that up. And we're not meant to be on a high of energy throughout the day until finally we crash at bedtime. The body is just not going to deal. It's going to burn out. So we have ebbs and flows, and we should pay attention to that. I recently decided to listen to my body's moon cycle. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take these days off and not work. Up to 5 days in my calendar per month, because I'm a terror to myself and I'm a terror to others because I'm having to push myself to overcome my own discomfort. And you know what? I love myself. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, since you brought up food, sometimes I have clients who think they're so food sensitive when really they're just eating the same foods over and over without giving their body a break from it. And so their body, anything can become toxic if it's out of balance, right? And if your body can't process it quickly enough. So I put them on, let's say, for 3 days. Don't repeat anything for 3 days. That gives it time for the body to process it out, and then you can have it again. But don't overload your system to the point where it can't process it out naturally.
Yeah. And depending on what's going on in the digestive tract, and most Americans have and the Canadians, anybody who's in the, first world experience, they're having a difficult time with digestion. And that means a high propensity for leaky gut. And that means that whatever you eat, you'll have the experience of, I don't know, I used to eat this all the time, and now all of a sudden I'm allergic to it. You're not allergic, you're just sensitive to it. And we need to heal the gut. And sometimes it takes more than 3 days. But yeah, breaking it from the habit of the same old thing. So the minutia of it's really interesting to me. I can get very technical about it, and I'll try not to get too deep. But the idea is if a person's gut is unhealthy, it usually has candida overgrowth, which becomes like little wormies almost. And they'll eat lining of the wall of your intestines to the point where it has holes in it. Okay. Now you're eating food, and most people are eating too quick. They're not chewing it well. And so we end up with whole pieces of food going down into the stomach, from the stomach down into the digestive tract. And that whole food particle is going through the hole in the intestine. And the body then goes, hey, you don't belong here. Let me attack you with the histamine, right? Then we have a histamine attack. This is the experience. We have to heal the gut, chew our food better. It's two-pronged approach. And then it will heal over time, but give it 6 months. Give it 3 to 6 months is the common, that's how long it takes when people are working with me. And it's permanent as opposed to like just a break for a little while. But yeah, it takes a change in habit. And I'm guaranteeing you that a lot of the things, if we just reverted back to what we learned in kindergarten, we would be better off. Break for snacks, share, be kind to each other. All of these things are helpful.
Yeah. And if you see it on a commercial on TV, chances are it's not something you really need. It's something that will provide profits for someone. So I'm always looking for the hidden agenda, and that's it may be sad, but it's also a healthier way to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
What their bottom line is XYZ. Does your health fit into their bottom line?
And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think we have a misgiving around the Big Brother idea. You mentioned that when we first got talking, that the government's always watching and always has our back, and they don't. There's really nobody to govern. Even the FDA, I was doing a talk with them as an employee base, that they didn't know about reading labels. I'm like, wow, okay. We as a society have decided to go hands off and give too much trust to people who are selling us their goods. We are a society based on consumerism. And so we have to be aware of that and be our own gatekeeper, because the Big Brother doesn't really exist in the way that we think they do. They're not out for our good. They're out for our money.
Yes,
so
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, our time has gone by so fast that we're coming up close to the end of our time together. But you have a resource for our listeners that I'd like you to talk about a little bit.
Absolutely. I've been looking for a way for a while to properly store how much healing energy we actually do have. And so I came up with something. We all heard of our FICO score for our financial health. This is your FICO score for your body. It's called the Essential Energy Quotient. And it's a questionnaire. You're looking at this going, well, this doesn't seem like it's health related. It all is. It's all based on the body of work that I call Ascension. It allows me to see what your daily habits are, your patterns of thought, even how well you love yourself. And then we take into consideration any symptoms that you have. And you get a total score at the end. And so I recommend everybody take this. It's free. You'll find it right on my home page. You'll see take the Essential Energy Quotient. Have you taken the test? So sign up for it, take the test. You'll get a score, and you'll get a quick, here's what to do about it. And then you can retake it so that you can update your quotient every month and see how well you're raising or lowering your score and why.
Cool. And the link will be right below in the show notes if you just want to click on something. So you're also all over the internet, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those places if people want to get in touch with you. And your website would be?
Yeah, I'm on all of those places, but the website is theelevateinstitute.com. And that's the best place to get a collective of all of my bodies of work, including interviews and articles that talk about what we talked about today.
And also how to work with you.
How to work with me, yeah. And everybody's situation is a little bit different. So you're not going to find prices on my pricing page. You will find how to get it.
Cool. So do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, don't ignore the signs and symptoms for too long. And the biggest thing is we think that we can ignore the signs and symptoms of imbalance as long as we can be productive and get our day done. This is actually better if you go back to the old adage of darning socks, which is a stitch in time saves 9. Get to the imbalance early, correct it early, and you'll have a much better chance of getting to old age with less complications and on less medication, if any at all.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for our time together. It was really fun. Obviously, the time went by way too fast.
Really fast. Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to remember that I now have a second person who loves the whole computer tech stuff, right? So you can be my next level backup. See, you never should have told me.
I'll keep you from throwing your computer out the window at least.
Oh, well, see, I even have multiples because I have to have, in my business, I have multiples of everything. I have 2 different phone numbers with 2 different companies. I have a hotspot on my phone in case my home internet goes down for my business. I mean, I've got backups of everything. So now you're my tech backup.
Very good.
Oh, and on that note, I'd like to thank my listeners for tuning in. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I thought this was a blast, and I did learn a whole lot of new stuff. This is your host, Jean Border, with the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast. And I hope to see you again. So until next time.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast. Energy work to better your business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey.